I'm Dave Neal with Tasha Courtney and Remy Kassimir. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here.
As you mentioned, you host the How Come podcast.
I do.
And that's coming orgasms mainly.
Yes.
Not like a theoretical how come, it's like...
Not just like, why?
So, yeah, I mean, how come? How come?
How come? So How Come started, I was 28. It literally launched by accident last Christmas. I didn't know that if you submitted to iTunes, it could happen that day. And then I was just like, I have to advertise it. So a lot of people found out that I wasn't coming while they were in church. And I had never had an orgasm. And I was like, this is really fucked up. Especially because I used to think women just didn't have them because of what I learned from pop culture, in stand up, women don't come and women, all this stuff. And in sex ed, you never get taught about women's pleasure. It's just kind of taught how not to get pregnant.
Sure.
Yeah, or not get STDs, use a condom.
Yeah, exactly. And then I got into stand up and I heard all these women doing jokes about how they're having orgasms now because there's way more women in stand up now. That perspective has been covered in a completely different way. And I would go up to them and I'd be like, are you really having orgasms? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, well. Now I feel like, oh, we all don't have orgasms. And then it flipped to, wait, I'm the only one not having orgasms. This sucks. And I was talking about it with my little sister and she's like, well, yeah, it's hard for me to do it with people, but alone it's fine. And I was like, well, this is horrible. The fact that you can do it and I can't, I need to get going. So I started the podcast to just hold myself accountable.
How do you even have that conversation with your sister? Tasha, you've got a little sister. Have you talked orgasms before?
No, I have not.
Really?
But we're also not a very open family. Maybe you come from a sharing type
Remy, where
family.
are you from? Are you from New York?
I'm from New York City. My parents are medical professionals, so they've always kind of labeled everything by its
real name.
Real names, yeah. And my mom had said to me during our sex talk, sex is supposed to be fun, but she never really expanded on that. She was just like, yeah, fun. But it wasn't oh, you might squirt and people are going to make weird faces. There was nothing about orgasms. There was nothing about did you know that you can have 1 million orgasms and never have sex? If somebody had told me that, I would be like, oh, life's going to be great.
Taking a solo vacation.
Yeah, literally. So for the podcast in the beginning, I would just have people that I knew somewhat well who are at a bit of sexperts, definitely more than me, definitely more well-versed in sex. And they would tell me their first time coming story, which everyone still does. But then they would give me an assignment, something that I had to do for the next week to make me come. And it took until week 6. So that's not that much time. And now we were like, oh, should I just end the podcast? And it's no, because clearly,
really
yeah, but clearly there wasn't any mechanical problem. It was just a lack of knowledge. And I always cite this, but the medical community only found out about the internal structure of the clitoris in 1998.
It's wild.
So there's just a lot of learning to go down. And I was like, I'm not going to end it. And I'll just find out how other people come and the million other ways. And there's just keep learning so much stuff.
That's amazing that it was the 6th episode.
I know.
That's you cracked the code.
I know. I wanted to make it 10 though, because I'm a Virgo and I'm it would sound better.
I want to work up to that because I come from, Catholic background where, my Birds and the Bees talk was a cartoon book my mom rented in the library, which was actually probably more than most Catholics got. Was when a man and a woman are in love, they want to be as close to each other as possible. That's pretty much as far as it got.
Yeah.
I felt that was the same feeling when I heard Santa Claus wasn't real. I was like, what the fuck? That's what that shit's for? It was very strange betrayal of my innocence. I was and again, I might have been a little too young. This was 2nd grade. I don't know. I mean, Tasha, when did you get...
I feel I found out a ton of misinformation about sex probably around that same time.
So you didn't find your parents? Did they ever talk to you about it?
No.
Tasha's parents, they're great people. Mm-hmm. They don't communicate about anything substance like that. So when I come in as a guy comic who just has to speak my truth and something's going on that's weird.
You can't call it out because they're gonna not be good with that conversation.
But I actually enjoy talking about it. But I feel the walls go up, and at this point, I think Tasha knows it's a conversation we'll have later.
Where are you from?
Kentucky.
Okay, is that the way? Like just buttoned up and like polite, or
no? I feel like
Buttoned up is a good way. It's buttoned up.
yeah, but
'Cause
I
they're
don't know
Democrat,
if that's
but-
like necessarily like because it's Kentucky, like Southern kind of thing. I don't know if I would call it that. I think they just, they're like sort of religious. They were like originally like Southern Baptists, which are like hellfire people, and then they moved over to like a non-denominational.
They're liberal, but their
Christian
programming was probably that Southern
puritanical.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I was like, that puritanical is like the Catholic too. Like it's just not a conversation. But New York was my first, like when I got to college, a lot of friends were from New York.
Yeah.
And it was insane what New Yorkers can just be open and talk about.
See, okay, so I would never feel like I could. I hate to throw my mom under the bus, but it wasn't like I could go to my mom for anything. Like it wasn't that open. Like my mom also, like we're Jewish, but we always made fun of her that we're like, you're not really. Like she came from Massachusetts. She's super buttoned up. Like all of my friends were calling their friends' moms by like their first name. Oh, Sharon.
Is she from Newton?
She's from Framingham.
Framingham. Is that a big Jewish Boston?
No, they're
there's a couple
Maybe
they're
that's why
very
she's
Christian. She was
buttoned
like the only Jew, but like she's just much more their vibe.
But that's still the Boston suburbs. Rhode Island, same thing. Yeah, actually, Remy and I met in Newport, Rhode Island at the Rhode Island Comedy Festival.
Yes, we did.
And but yeah, New England, it's just like you just don't talk about certain things. I mean, you have to piece shit together. And the internet, at least now, you can watch a few videos. But yeah, like we're at this same age or same part where like you had to figure it out through your friends. It was probably wrong.
Yeah.
It was like, there was a lot of shit. So Tasha, you just had to piece it together?
Well, yeah, that's exactly it. I had an elementary school friend who had like 2 older brothers that were teenagers.
Yeah.
So like she found out from them and then told all of us, and we were like, what the?
Yeah, I have 2 older brothers, and I found a Playboy magazine once, and I also found a hentai magazine.
Whoa.
Which, if you don't know what that is, it's Japanese anime porn, and I was fascinated by it. I was like, this is so fun and cool.
So a lot of times you hear stories of people being like, like I started touching myself at 9. I didn't know what it was. So were you feeling that, but didn't know how to just press through?
This is why I think I was. It was perfect that it was me to start my podcast, because it wasn't like, oh, hi, I'm just starting to have sex. I've never had an orgasm. Like, I don't know. I've never tried anything. Like, I was trying everything. I've been a very sexual person since I was like in the stroller. Like I would flirt with people while I was being pushed around. And like, I always wanted like closeness and stuff. I was trying I wasn't talking to enough people or the right people. Like I never talked about it with my girlfriends, and like one of my girlfriends has owned the sex toy that ended up making it like happen for me, and never said anything. Like I think it's just there's a double standard with women talking about it versus men. Yeah.
I mean, it's weird. I learned from a cousin, not like the specifics of how to masturbate, but like he was like, dude, yeah, you're not going to feel, you just have to keep doing it. Like I'm not doing, it's not happening. Yeah, just keep doing, and then when it happens, you go, oh, and for a guy, it might be shorter.
That's so interesting though, because that's literally, Esther Steinberg, comic. So when she was one of the people who was talking about coming on stage, and she didn't come on stage, but she was talking about coming on stage.
That'll do it for you.
But she was like, yeah, you just have to keep doing it for like 30 minutes. And I was like, but nothing's going to happen. Like nothing's happened before. She's just like, just keep doing it. You're just like a lazy masturbator. Like,
was it like a mental thing that
no,
you were like
clearly not
giving up on yourself?
That way, yes, very mentally not tough, because first I thought, oh, this isn't something that we do. Then I thought, this is something that I don't do. I must be broken. So going into every sexual experience after that was like, it's not going to happen. I've never done it. Like, and he's not going to be able to do it. I can't do it. Like that nagging feeling. And now it's so much easier for me in general because I've already done it. So the pressure's off.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So now it's like easy.
So how long have you been able to have that? I mean, I'm assuming you're heterosexual, right?
Yep.
So have you been able to have the penetrative orgasm, as they call it?
But
I
not
can't even say it without having
not with a penis.
With a toy.
With a toy, yeah.
Okay, I understand. Yeah. Okay. So interesting. It's so interesting because the guys have the legit opposite problem. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like we train ourselves through like porn and jerking off to come quickly.
Well, that's
not
another
on purpose.
question. Had you watched porn?
like I would only watch porn with like first of all, I didn't think porn was for girls. Like I wanted to be like a lady. I wanted to be perfect. And so sometimes when I was with my guy friends, they'd be like, "Oh, we have a porn, we're gonna watch it," and like we'd all watch it in a group, and I would watch it in like an analytical way instead, because I'd be like, okay, well, I can't really fully enjoy this. I'm not supposed to. But
and not a lot of porn is not made for
it's
women
not,
either.
Now
like,
it is. There's way more.
There is way more like female directed, feminist sort of porn. Like take out the male porn. Gaze. Well, but that's the thing is like when it's made by men for men, they don't care about, like showing female empowerment.
No, I'm not big on,
or like body worship. Like feminist porn is just porn that's like don't say feminist in a dirty way. It just means somebody who wants equality.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
At the same time, you show your pay stubs. Both porn stars. Funny part, the irony is that female porn stars make way more than men. But I understand. It's like obviously no one gives a shit about the dude with the fucking belly and a crooked dick. Fucking, you know what I mean?
That's what's changed too. I just interviewed a few porn stars out here, and they are such a different look than when porn was first introduced to me. Like it used to be all like roided out kind of belly guys, bald, always bald, some kind of mustache. Now it like
bloating. They have like a belly.
Yeah. Now it looks like little like boy next door cutie boyfriend. I interviewed Logan Pierce, and he does a lot of like boyfriend girlfriend scenes, and like some of them it's like, oh yeah, they are like not violent, but it's like violent like BDSM play like that, but it's between a couple, so it's like everything you're watching you're like, okay, that's consensual and nice and whatever, and then the other stuff is more feminist, but no, it's like more female worshipy, and I'm coming home to my girlfriend, I love her so much, I'm gonna kiss her whole body, and like that's the porn that we wish you guys had been learning from, instead of ones like where you put your fucking hands on our mouths and do that claw. What's it called? The hook?
See, like I'm lucky enough that I never experienced, like I wasn't raised with sort of that violent. Yeah, there's some violent shit out there. You know what I mean? It's so distracting. We're live streaming to Taiwan or Taipei or wherever the fuck we are. Korea. Where is this? Taiwan?
Everywhere.
Anyway,
people are
we're
watching
everywhere.
From everywhere.
But we're here in LA, in Hollywood. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I didn't have internet porn when I was coming of age was photos. So you'd see a couple photos of different things, but it wasn't like now. I almost think these kids coming up with Instagram, like it's pretty wild.
And Twitter too. There's like full porn on Twitter. Like you don't even have to go to like a porn website.
Or Reddit. Reddit, it's porn everywhere.
For some reason, my Twitter has me set on like a child setting. I don't know why. And like I have a lot of porn stars and like adult film or like sex workers that follow me now because of the podcast. And I try to tweet them back. I can't see anything they're posting.
Really?
Even if it's not dirty, Twitter's like... we're blurring this because it might be potentially sensitive content, just because it's an adult film performer.
So you have to tap it
to
reveal?
But I still, for some reason, like I've said, like I am above 18. I swear to God, I'm almost 30. And Twitter is like, no, you can't see anyone's boobs.
So
that's exactly what a 16-year-old would say.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't until stand-up comedy that you actually felt like you had something, like you could fix the problem.
I didn't know that there was a problem initially. Like I genuinely didn't think women were having orgasms. I thought like 70% of the women, or like 90 probably, were like, yeah, they don't come. Because you'd always hear like women don't like having sex. Oh, my wife always pretends she has a headache or goes to sleep before. Like I was like, oh, women aren't sexual people. I must be like this weird
But isn't
outlier.
that a shame that that's sort of like...
It's horrible.
The way that movies are made and TV is made, and it's every joke is like that.
It's horrible.
Because it impacts people. If you don't come up in like an upbringing where you're told that that's not true, then that's what you're going to think for your whole life.
As the male voice here, sometimes, so like to take the male point of view, sometimes it's the communication is what's off. Like Tasha, are they asking any questions?
No.
I'm too ADD here with this fucking thing.
Well, just don't pay attention to it.
It's so easy. Hard. I'm talking and
just finish your statement.
Remy, we like to fight and then bring the guest in the middle of it.
Oh, well, I'm on her side.
So when it comes to like guys with the troping, like, oh, my wife doesn't do this, doesn't blow me or whatever. Well, sometimes I think women earlier in a relationship will be more like, and it goes both ways. Once we're done like exploring, we kind of get lazy on both sides. And I do not know when Tasha wants to have sex. I don't.
You're not very communicative about
well, yeah,
it,
but
no.
that's your family. But you need to learn that because that's literally like everyone's like, what have you learned from how come? Like, what's the perfect thing to make a woman come? There's no perfect thing. Everybody is so different in their bodies. The only thing that you can do to guarantee yourself being good in bed, keep asking. Do you like this? And try and find ways that aren't necessarily like annoying. And I think that
sort of like a lot of guys don't ask. And so it puts like the burden on us to be like, no, I don't like that.
But we also do have to be like, I like it when, like I used to let it.
But it's a two-way thing.
100%.
You know, and I feel like it's hard for women who have spent just the same way. It's a cultural thing. We're trained our whole lives not to be assertive, to sort of be like a little more demure and lady. Like you said, like you want to be demure and
small and cute.
And, and so we're not trained to like be assertive or to be bossing people around or say, you know, it's like we're waiting for you to ask the questions. Like, we're waiting for you to tell us that you're into us.
How many times, Dave, have you been having sex and you're in pain, but you're like, I'm just going to deal with it until she comes?
Pain, penile pain?
You're in pain.
Not often.
Never. Yeah.
But
we do it a lot.
Like probably 50% of my sexual experiences have been like
that. We're just like,
oh, I'm sorry for you guys. I really am. It's a good conversation to have.
It is a great conversation to have.
No guy wants a girl to be in pain.
No, and that's kind of, we talked about, remember when the Aziz Ansari article came out on babe.net, and it was very controversial because technically he really didn't do anything wrong, but it did bring up an interesting conversation, which is that what you were saying, women have been raised to kind of put our feelings aside to make the guy feel more comfortable.
Yeah, like our needs are second.
Exactly. Because if a guy gets angry, there's way more risk for us than there is if a girl gets upset.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So
like a physical risk, among other things. Like
rape, control.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And purely, at the very least, as a size thing.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's just like a lot of people are like, why didn't she leave or what? Or why didn't she say like no more sternly? Well, because she didn't want to be rude.
Yeah.
And
and in the end, it's really she's surviving. She's surviving.
Right.
She's like walking on eggshells, being gentle, trying to let this guy down gentle. He comes from a position of power. He's bigger than her, whatever. There's a million reasons why she's just like trying to like as gently as possible get out of a situation that's a little hairy.
And Harry, we had a guy in college that was a nickname Jackhammer because a friend walked in on him and he looked like a jackhammer as he was having sex. And like that's the first thought is like, how hard can I fuck a girl? So when we talk about imprinting, it's like, trust me, men want to do.
Oh, I know.
We want to come and have the woman come. Like it's in the end, that's what we want. But like when you think like, okay, how hard can I did you like? Oh, you fucked the shit out of her. Like that's a term. It's a little weird, but it's like men that. So you're raised. You're like a teen in college, and it's like, how hard can you fuck somebody is like the standard measurement.
Well, here's the thing is like fucking someone really hard is not without merit. Like that is very well received a lot of the times, but it is if that person is prepared to be like, a lot of the times you just have to kind of like grease the wheels, and like you can't be fucking like a jackhammer from like second one. Eventually we're gonna ask you like, plays harder. Like everybody, we've all gotten to that point.
And that's when the guy comes right away.
Yeah,
Don't
I
stop.
know. And then they're just like, oh. But so usually what we've learned too is that women, we're the insatiable sex. The more that we orgasm, the more that we can orgasm. So the nice thing to do if you want to have that real like, hey, we both go
prime the pump.
Yeah, prime the pump and like do all the foreplay that like you think is like, oh, that's dumb. That's not that's sex to us.
Yeah,
we
that's
like
the best
it.
part.
Yeah.
And again, when men know that, you keep that in the back of your head, of course. But like also like, DNA wise, like spread your seed wise, genetics, men are like, you watch other animals have sex. The fucking rhino mounts the rhino, pumps once, slips, falls over, and there's a baby. Like we're the only like primates that have like giant dicks compared to other, like we have bigger dicks than like 800-pound gorillas.
Well, but they have proven that other animals
dicks.
have sex for pleasure.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Which ones? I don't remember, but I know that other animals do have sex.
I know dolphins rape, and it's like not good.
Like that's more like it's not just for procreation purposes among all species.
No.
But my point is, and again, someone can write in Sex Actually Podcast.
Dolphins and flamingos. One of our listeners.
Yeah, but like Boone's got a big dick because he's a basset hound, and you need a long dick as a long dog to procreate. So like, I get that a bull's got an 8-foot dick or whatever, and like ducks have spiral dicks and then the female ducks have like fake vagina holes. You know what I mean? Like it's a batshit crazy world out there. I get it, but we've got the ability. We've got larger penises in the primate world. Because
that's true.
We'll settle it
Dave,
later.
that's just a fantasy.
Have you seen the fucking little anyway? But we're the only ones that can have face-to-face sex, which is like more of an intimate thing. It's true.
Is that true?
That I don't know.
What animals do you see having face-to-face? Dogs have doggy
Any listeners have any input on this?
Anyway, look.
I'm interested in that actually. But the thing is we talk about, like, I used to get in my head a lot about, oh, well, maybe the female orgasm isn't so important because it's not important to procreation.
Right.
But how many times in your life are you coming and making a child with that cum?
Right.
4 tops?
Yeah.
Like, that's not what we're trying to do. There's so many other health benefits to having orgasms. That's not why, like, a pleasure center was created in your body. It's literally to, like, release stress and, like, make your life better. It's not just like, well, eventually I'm going to have a baby one day, so I better start practicing fucking.
But if you have an orgasm with, if you have an orgasm while you're coming, doesn't
a
absorb
sucking mechanism that occurs. That's like what the muscle contraction is like,
pulls
in
and makes you
like, good sex can delay a period, right?
I don't know, maybe.
I've heard that your period could be late because you've had good sex and your body's like, well, let's see if this works, even if the guy doesn't physically come inside you.
That was like an ex-girlfriend being like, we gotta fuck before I get my period. Maybe you can stave it off.
I don't want to call Tasha out, but I was going to say that Tasha's told me that. But if you don't remember,
really?
No,
they've literally been, your period's like not happy because you're like, well, it's the last. It's like that 2-minute drive from the end of the football game where
Tasha's
you're just
pregnant.
That's the guy's greatest fear. Oh, a pregnancy.
What?
Just because
it's a beautiful thing.
Well, true, but it's the lack of control. And like, I'm finally at the age, I'm 33, where like the world wouldn't be over. But like, I've got friends. I got a buddy from high school that was his son's in the varsity soccer team now. You do the math. I mean, like, he had a kid when I think he was a junior in high school, and it's like, so his world's completely different. And to be kind of selfish, my sister is only a year older than me. She's got 4 kids.
Yeah,
it's just something that I'm not ready for. But
did you ever participate in a pregnancy scare? Or
we actually talked about this on last episode. That I think a few times I've had girlfriends tell me that they think they're pregnant, and their own anxiety about it probably led to them kind of like seeing like what I would do, not in sort of a meant to be manipulative way, but like. You know what I mean? Like where I was like, what the fuck? And then one time on April Fool's, someone told me they were pregnant. So that's not cool.
But not ever to the point that like, we're pregnant, I need you to come with me to the clinic, or like, hey, could you put down for half a baby removal?
No, not to the abortion level.
Okay.
Is that something that you've frequented?
I've not frequented it. Thank you. No, I've had one abortion and it was lovely. It was not the right time, obviously. But I always, like, before going into this spiel, I'm like, there shouldn't be a fucking explanation for why it wasn't the right time. It's
an explanation required.
Your fear of
I didn't ask you why.
No. I'm saying whenever I go into it, I go and I'm like, but I shouldn't have to explain. But it's just that anxiety of you like being out of control. How do you think we fucking feel? Like we're going to be out of control and our body's going to blow up too? That sucks.
I think it's the fact that I can't control if the girl decides to keep it. If I'm like, and I'll use Tasha as an example. If she pulls the goalie on the birth control and wants to have a baby, it's not up to me. You know what I mean? The best I can do is not come inside or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best I can do.
Yeah, like really your only option is to be supportive of whatever choice a woman decides to make.
But listen, every guy listening knows what I'm talking about when I say that there's been plenty of women that go, come inside me, I'm safe this time of month. Like, and that's how fucking children are made. Every guy knows, like, hey, she said, and then it happens, and then you go, oh, what? Like,
well, how about y'all get your own birth control? That would be nice, because I'm
really
sick of taking a pill every day.
If it didn't fuck with my hormones, I would.
Hilarious. Hilarious.
Ladies.
What? I've been on birth control since I'm 15.
Mood swings, acne, weight gain,
Turn your microphones
depression.
off. Ladies, I understand this. I understand. No, there's no gun to your head. I understand this. I'm just saying, I probably wouldn't put up with the shit that you put up with to take the pill. I probably wouldn't.
You know what I'm talking about, right? When I say the study that, they were doing a male birth control study and they pulled it. This was just a couple years ago because the men were having too many side effects. Yeah. And they were so minimal compared to the laundry list of side effects.
Listen, that's the Spark Notes headline, but that's so bold. That's a clickbait headline. I read the article. Man, yeah, why would a guy want to be in a study?
No, you read one article. Read the whole thing. Read the real study. You're doing Spark Notes, because I know that we talked about this before, and it makes me really mad when you're like, no, that's a clickbaity headline. No, it's a real thing, and read the real study.
But why would a guy want to just? I wouldn't. Wait. Experiment.
Why would a guy want to?
Why would anybody want, let me put it this way. Why would anybody, I mean, financially they pay you, but like, why would anybody want to do that to their body? Now, you take...
For the greater good.
But you take a birth control because it's also like a hormonal thing. You've experimented with different ones.
I have PCOS, so we were talking about painful sex, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And so I get cysts on my ovaries frequently, huge ones, the size of an egg, the size of an orange. And they're super painful.
Have you had to have surgery or no?
I've never had. I've been scheduled for surgery twice, and both times they popped on their own.
Oh my god!
We'll be at dinner and she'll be like, "Hey, thingy," and then I guess it ruptures or what, and it comes out.
Yeah. Yikes. But it's very common. But this is another thing that, like, because it's women issues, like, they don't give a shit about it. So like their only solution is like, well, we think it helps to put you on birth control because it regulates your hormones. So it's sort of. It does make a small difference.
I agree with you that male doctors are pieces of shit when it comes to not listening to women's
not just male doctors.
Well, okay,
it's everybody. Like, there's a lot of internalized, like, self-hating women. Like, I notice, like, somebody will come on screen and I'll be like, stupid bitch or whatever before, and I'm just like whoa, like way. Yeah,
it's sort of like systematic racism. It's like
it's true. Have you ever seen that thing? It's children being shown different colored dolls. And the black little girl was shown a black doll, and she's like, that one's uglier. And the woman's like, why? And she's like, it just is. Like, because that's what she's been taught. Like, we've been taught we're worse. I did a story the other day because I was thinking about the Bible. Like, even like everyone, I mean, not everyone, but Old Testament, we're all familiar with Adam and Eve and like that whole thing. And I was just thinking back on it, how I really thought women were evil and deserved everything that we got, like childbirth periods, because she did that one evil thing. And like, even being an intelligent person, a non-religious person, knowing that story is not true, that's the foundation of a lot of Western society.
Yeah.
And that she was just created for him. Yeah. Like,
from him.
You're completely subverting the entire gender. It's insane. And a lot of people were like, whoa, I didn't realize that. Like,
blown.
And I used to be mad at her too. I'd be like, why did you curse us? Like, why are we all so bad now?
It explains too why it's been so hard to like get a female president. Elizabeth Warren gets so much shit, and Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
We can talk about how this was caused, but I think women are very cutthroat to each other. I think men, there's a survival to like bonding as tribally as men. I think it dates back to tribalism, where like the men are out hunting and the women.
But women also work together in a group.
Wait, how?
No, so I'm just gonna we just had a biological anthropologist on the podcast, and
I'm fucked.
Yeah, you're very wrong.
I like to throw this out here.
Yeah, I love how like guys can just go, well, I think that this happened in history, and I think that it must. Yeah, like, oh, okay.
What did this expert say?
She said that we do have different ways of bonding because of how things were like in like the grasslands or whatever. But women have always been working and contributing. But the way that they bond is different because if they've given birth to a baby, they're in a cave and they're making face-to-face contact. So we've been making eye contact this entire podcast. It's very, I hear you, I see you, like, don't worry, I got you. Whereas men would be out and trying to hunt and they'd be side by side watching a buffalo.
Wow.
So men don't like to look into each other's eyes or into anybody's eyes, actually. Isn't that strange?
Weird.
Well, so, okay. I hear you.
So it's bonding, but in different ways. And so she's Dr. Helen Fisher and she's amazing. And she was saying even sometimes when she's talking to men, specifically powerful men, she'll look away because she doesn't want them to feel intimidated because it's not the way that they're accustomed to bonding.
Yeah.
And she's like, but even then it's like subverting how you normally act to make somebody else comfortable.
Feel comfortable.
You're right though, like my buddy, like I could go hang out with my buddies all day long, sit on the couch next to each other and watch the game or like do something else. So yeah, that's interesting to look at it that way.
Yeah.
And then I also look like societally, like women, when in the the last just several generations, that's probably like your greatest imprints probably on the most recent generations, right? I mean, like we've all got some like old biological shit, but like you look at your parents and moms were staying at home and dads were off kind of like, networking and being in developing their business contacts and I know I sound like Mad Men talking about it, but like I don't know, it just must be tough because Tasha, I mean you struggle with like having a ton of female friends. A lot of women say like I can't be friends with women. What is it?
Well, I don't think that's it. I think we just live in a city where everybody's very spread out and it's hard to like you've got to really make an effort and schedule in advance.
Okay, we were just back in Kentucky.
Cross town.
We were just back in Kentucky for 15 days. How many of your friends did you reconnect with?
I didn't.
Okay,
talk to anybody.
so my point
You didn't talk to anybody?
And that's totally fine that like you're sort of like introverted in that style. It's totally fine. But like I've got
that
like
might be just an introvert thing.
Yeah, but I do have my close group of female friends, and like maybe we don't see each other every day, but we do get together at least once a month. We chit chat, we text, we know what's going on in each other's lives. So I think you're sort of mischaracterizing there.
I read this thing the other day that I really loved. It was like good friends are like stars. You don't always see them, but you know that they're there. Because I have those friendships with people where I won't really talk to them for like months, but then if they're in town or if I'm in or something, like we'll have like a catch up and it's like, oh yeah, that's my buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just you slip right back in. You know, it's like you didn't miss a beat.
But I do think that women can be catty, and I think it's also because we have been kind of pitted against each other since we are now, but we're re-entering the workforce. But if a woman doesn't have buying power, what power does she have? Having sex power, getting married power. Yeah. And so then we're just competing with each other for
on a time clock when the body's going in one direction and there's a younger woman, because I think men, when you talk about control and having money, like if a guy's got money and his shit together, he's gonna want to look for the younger, fresher thing. Like that's just
anybody. I mean, like even women who have their money and get their shit together, like cougars are fucking running rampant now. Yeah. It's just like if you have power, then you wield that however you want.
I've looked into it. I mean, I always say like I'm a feminist because my lady makes more money than I do. Like that's I mean, that's what it comes down to is like when you kind of level the playing field. Like Tasha doesn't need me. Like we fight. She's like bye. Yeah. See ya. Like that's cool. That's a cool place to be.
It's nice to be wanted and not needed too. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like people can be like more assured in their relationship that's like, oh, we're both bringing equal things. Wow, you're just here because you like me? That's so nice.
Not because you need me.
Yeah, and not because you have no work skills and couldn't go out and support yourself if you need be.
I struggle with that. That because like I think men want to feel needed. And it is tough. And we've talked to we've had past guests on that they talk about how and again I know this is you're literally gonna be overcome with like fuck you, Dave. But like men are struggling right now with what to do with this all.
But there are a million ways to feel needed, right? And it shouldn't be just on me to be like, oh, babe, can you help me open this? To assuage your sort of
get the pickle
ego.
jar.
I still love that. I'm like, if you keep fixing my TV, you stay. You stay.
I built some shit, and the chick, you're getting like just moist looking at me, fucking struggling with some IKEA shit. Now she's criticizing me, babe, you're doing the wrong side. It comes out wobbly. She's like, fuck you. But there's something like I do appreciate the high bar that Tasha sets, but also it's like, well, set it just above. Like don't crush my ego with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out here working hard, doing my thing, and I want to feel like Tasha or anybody just like respects where I am in the order of things. And that's very hard.
I think we all want to be respected, though. That's the thing. Is like it's been guys for a long time being like, respect me, show that you respect me, and then we're like, can you respect us too? Would that be okay?
Respect us back.
And look, again, if this was like transcribed on a feminist blog, I would be just like fucking shit all over because I sound so. But I'm being honest.
No, but we're having a conversation, and that's the difference.
And I'm being honest in saying that I believe that men want everyone to be happy. They want what guy doesn't want their woman to be happy? It's just we're just like tearing it all down and sort of building it back up in a healthier way.
I believe you that this is a thing that men are struggling with right now. It's obvious when you see like incels and
oh my God.
Like the dude who ran over the girl in Charlotte. Like, you know, men are struggling with their own identities, but it's not our responsibility as women to like fix it for them by making ourselves small or making ourselves inconspicuous. It's just the way the world is now that like we are becoming more and more equal. We're still not even there yet. We're still not, you know, we're like 1/4 of the Senate or whatever now. And like, you know, everybody's throwing a big party. That is so far away from real equality.
It's a big leap in a short time.
But
you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying is like it's only going that direction. We're not going backwards.
Sure.
Nobody wants to be put back in their box. So y'all are going to have to figure out how to be okay with that, and you're going to have to do it on your own. And that means for a lot of men sort of reevaluating what their modern purpose is.
I think
not what their prehistoric purpose
your
is.
tone, and I agree with what you're saying, but I feel like it's a little bit of an eye for an eye. Like you've always kind of had an eye for an eye with like this type of like, well, we figured it out.
If it was an eye for an eye, then we would be 90% of the Senate and the House of Representatives for the next
200 years. Yeah.
No, if it was an eye for an eye, we would be the ruling class for the next 400 years, and you guys would be at home doing the dishes.
We'll have like a blue tax where like you tax us on like jock itch spray.
Yeah, exactly.
$15 for jock itch spray. Oh, that would be a fun pilot to shoot, to have like a, you know. Yeah, because they've done those shows where it's like, what if the U.S. was under Nazi rule?
Oh, yeah.
What if the U.S. was just Elizabeth Warren on every coin?
What if it was like for men, what it's been like for minorities and women for the past
That's
millennia.
what I was going to say. It's very similar, like, and especially I can assume it's very hard to be a straight white man. Like, as a white woman, like, I've been checking my privilege this year a lot more and like last year and stuff. And as a child, I always thought it was like kind of fucked. I was like, does nobody see that like how fucked things are, that like I can do certain things and my black friends can't? Like, that's crazy. And I think a lot of guys, specifically straight white guys, they don't know what it feels like to be marginalized. You really can't understand. And I've explained this to a guy before who loves to use the N-word because a bunch of his friends have told him he can and it's fine or whatever. And I said, but around me, I really don't like it or whatever. And he was like, but it's fun. And I was like, just hold on. You can't understand what it's like to be called that, what it's like to be called a kike. I'm Jewish, I can say that. What it's like to be called a cunt, what it's like to be called a bitch. You can't, like, there's nothing, a douche, a dick.
Yeah,
that those things are applauded for men. There's nothing that can make you feel small and insignificant and less than.
Or discarded. Or like your opinion doesn't matter, or your thoughts don't matter.
Did you watch this Glenn Close speech last night?
I think I was really high. I know I watched it, and I know she cried, and I know people enjoyed it.
We were watching it, and Tasha's edible like must have kicked in, and I look back and she's bawling. But I get that way too. I do. I get that way too. I was raised by a single mom. My mom remarried when I was 11, so like that sounds like young, but I feel like I was mainly set in my ways. I'm very feminist.
Yeah.
I'll cry. I'm gonna watch Bachelor tonight. I'm gonna cry watching. You know, I'm gonna be in touch with my shit, but. I'm not worried about the incels of the world. I think that's just I think that's a product for the most part of like the fact that people have a voice that it would never have.
Why would anybody ever label themselves an incel? It's not a real thing. It's not like being like, oh fuck, I have cancer. It's like, I'm an unfuckable. Like, you just called yourself an unfuckable. Do you know that there's fucking girls out there who also find themselves unfuckable, and they will fuck you? Just be nice to them.
All you have
we'll
to do
have
is fix
the
your
weirdest
shitty
fucking
personality.
best sex with you if you're nice to was. And
maybe they'll do a podcast in like 6 episodes and they'll get fucked. Like the unfucked.
Seriously. Oh my God, I'm going to start an incel podcast.
I think that those types of issues, I mean, you need an uncle or an older brother to like grab you by the bootstraps and like set you straight. I don't think any amount of listening to a podcast is going to, like, that's some vitriolic like hate and sort of insecurity and fear. And when men have fear, it's more dangerous because men are going to start wars and beat people up and bully. Like, don't get me wrong, women you have your own shit, but I'm aware of the male shit. I'm aware of the straight white male privilege. All that. I'm not going to apologize for being who I am, though. And it's hard. Like I said, these conversations are great. When I'm on stage or talking to comics, I never have any blowback at all with what I'm saying. When I post something online, shit goes, like I'll like scorch the earth. I'll get 1,000 comments. And there's just that. What that means to me is that while we're all ready to communicate, we're still super sensitive with certain things. And I can't be like, I'm starting to see a trend here. Like, I can't say anything. I'm so... And I don't have a solution other than that. There's
but
no.
You definitely have a chip on your shoulder about it. You talk about that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
because
I was publicly shamed about it.
Okay, one time, but
the last time I did it.
What did you do?
I said that women have it better in. I mean, I said, and again, I understand that generalizing is horrible and all that, but like, if Facebook's not for shit talking, I don't know what is. And I understand it's still, that put me in a dangerous place. But I said, women have had it worse in every other way in life, but attractive female comedians get more stage time than men. Silence. That's what I said. So many women, people, and look.
But like, don't you understand that there's no? But we've had this conversation, and my problem with me is like, this is literally now like the 4th time that I'm explaining this to you, and you're still not absorbing anything that I'm saying. And this shouldn't be on me. You have to do some of this work. For hundreds of years, we have not been allowed to do literally anything. Finally, 2018, 2019. People are waking up and saying, oh my gosh, women have buying power.
Yeah.
Black people have buying power.
I'm just acknowledging the pendulum swing.
But that's the thing.
But also,
like,
I don't think that's true because I'm a very attractive female comedian, and it was very hard for me to get more stage time in the beginning because people look at you and they assume she's not funny. She's only here because she's pretty.
I think you're funny. I think you're pretty. I think.
No, I know I'm funny.
Yeah, and I don't mean this in a way where I'm certainly not calling you out or anybody. But my whole point was like, there's, and again, you live in New York. Here in LA, it's a beautiful world out there. Every marquee has a first-year female comedian on the show. Even Tasha, we were just on vacation with her. She was not even a year in, and she's done every major club. And then we have like our last guest, Joe Welke, very funny guy, 11 years into stand-up. You get guys like from the festival.
Does she have a lot of followers though?
One did, yeah, a couple didn't. But I understand on an economics level that there's more straight white men doing stand-up or men in general.
If just a person has a lot of followers, then the club sees that they can fill seats. There's a lot of shit-ass podcasters who are, comedians.
And I aspire to be
and
one of those.
And they tour and shit, and they spew their shitty shit comedy everywhere, but they keep selling out because
absolutely male YouTubers. There's plenty of male YouTubers that have dog shit. I totally understand. I know I even sound jaded. I'm only bringing it back up to like fill you in because this is what we're talking about. And like, I just won't post that shit online anymore. But it's like facts are like, and I mean, people.
But you can understand that like that's the way it is now without having animosity towards women for finally getting a shot.
Look, there's an underserved market for female comedians, and that's why you had Eliza Schlesinger winning Last Comic Standing her second year. I'm not saying she's not funny. She's a theater comic. She tours all over. Yeah. But I'm just saying, when you lose to like, and this was, but like a guy like Jimmy Schubert who's 25 years in, like I get. It's just a product. So like a lot of women are exposed to in stand-up comedy. That's not like loose game, but a lot of women are exposed before like they might be ready to hit. Whereas there's like these guys like we had a guy like that the Canadian comic the chubby, I can't remember his name. Fuck, it's killing me. But he's got multiple albums out and he's just a slayer and he's not getting up at the open mic when he visits LA. And like, but I understand that.
John Panette, right?
No, it was someone else. It was the guy with the. I won't be able to remember. But
this is something that Craig Fox said to me. Do you know Craig Fox?
Yeah.
So when I started, he like kind of took me under his wing and like he wanted me to work at the Lantern and stuff. I didn't end up doing it, but he did teach me joke structure and he taught me about. He's like, do you know what's interesting about being a female comic? And I was like, what? He goes, there have been so many male comics this whole time, and we've basically talked about everything we can. He's like, what's crazy is you guys come and you talk about stuff that's never really been addressed, and it's half the population that can relate to this stuff that they've never been able to relate to before.
No one's ever been talking to us before because men were talking to each other.
Right. And there was a sketch that he brought up at Saturday Night Live that he said Tina Fey wrote. And it kept going all the way up to the top, all the way up to the top, and then being shut down by the guy at the top. And finally she goes up to him and she's like, not Lauren, but somebody else. She's like, why do you keep rejecting this maxi pad sketch? It's so funny. And he's like, I don't know what a maxi pad is. So I get why Eliza can come in and win stuff because she's doing material that we've never heard before. I literally didn't start. I've wanted to do stand-up since I was 14, and I didn't know it was an option for women, especially ones from like a New York City background.
Because when everybody that you see doing a special or on TV is a dude.
Fat white dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't look like that. So how should I have the audacity to get on stage and make people listen to me? And what's crazy is I've done shows not recently, but when I started, I would go and you'd see like this big fat guy and he's in his 50s or whatever. And you look at him and be like, and say, oh, hi, it's so nice to meet you. We're on the same show. Oh my God, he must be amazing. And I think this guy is so much funnier than me. I should definitely subvert myself. And then I go up, murder. He goes up, eats a dick. I'm like, why the fuck was I talking to this loser? But in my head, I'm trained to think that he's more talented than me. And I know also that when I get on stage and I have lipstick or something, immediately, this bitch isn't going to be funny. She's only here because she's hot.
What a beautiful place for you to start off your set, though. I'm not saying like you should have like. It's a beautiful place to prove them all wrong.
It's not really. Like, I have this new Netflix credit, and it's way better to get on stage.
What's the Netflix credit?
I'll tell you about it, but it's way better to get on stage. You know we're from Netflix. Give it up for Remy Kassimir. The audience fucking trusts you. They trust you as if you're a fucking 50-year-old man. It is nice. You don't have to work and dig, and I don't care about... Like, I'm not satisfied by digging. Right. I'm satisfied by doing my job the best I can.
The more you do it, the easier it gets with the perception, because comedy is so important to like perceive it. Like if you're on a good lineup, it's better than a bar show. I mean, how many times we've done bar shows, bombed, and you go, this killed on the Tonight Show. Fuck all of you. You know what I mean? Like that's out there. Like I totally understand. I'll just say this just to button up. My biggest mistake with that post, which was shamed and screen grabbed and whatever. But again, I had plenty of men calling me being like, dude, way to hang in there, because I didn't take the bait. I go, look, I understand you're sharing your whole rape story on my status, and I'm really sorry. I'm sorry for you. I'm not apologizing for what I said. I put my own economic viewpoint into it, the supply and demand. There's just a million white. I mean, like you look at a lineup of 10 comics and you see 8 of them are straight white guys. You go, what the fuck? There's a black guy and a white chick. But when you break down how many people are doing comedy, it's just a weird place to be in. And then I come off like, you've had it so hard, straight white guy. It's like, I'm working 17 jobs to catch up to my girlfriend.
That's what it comes off though. I don't think it's not like a positive commentary. It just comes off as bitter.
I understand.
Yeah. And you don't need to do that.
Yeah, I totally understand.
Like it kind of demotes you as a performer too, because it's like, well, like you're great. That's the thing, is when people are like, well, we don't want black people to have more, like nobody's outwardly saying that, but a lot of people, like a lot of this that they don't want equality is the fear that I'm not going to have this upper hand that I've had this entire time. But sweet child, if you are talented, you will push through. Like the best of the crop will rise to the top. Yeah, it'll be sick, and you'll be chilling with the sickest people instead of these fucking rapists that everyone just has to like, I have to deal with. Well, it's fucking weird to deal with them in your workplace. Yeah. Get them out. Get somebody else who's talented and like can write I don't know.
No, and again, yeah, you're right. It comes off bitter, jaded, all that. And of course there's roots in that. Of course it's so frustrating to be like, I can't even step onto the stage that somebody who's done it 1/8 the amount of time is just, but I understand that's so like that was a mistake and I haven't done it since.
Yeah.
But also like I'm still, it's just a dogfight but I look at it as like the amount of effort in this is for any stand-up in general, as competitive as it is and as hard as it is, it does make you better if you ride out the storm.
Oh my God,
you, like when you see, like I always like, like Lynn Koplitz.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking love her, right?
Yeah.
She's just like, she's just this like white chick from Alabama. She got her Netflix half hour. She's brilliant, but she'll go into like a black room and murder the room. She'll destroy it because she's just battle tested 20-year
white
New
people
York
killing
comic.
black people. That's no good.
But like, there's plenty of white comics that would just be eaten alive in a black room, and she goes in there. I've seen her just destroy the place where like they're hitting each other. They're so fucking, you know what I mean? Like they're just, you know, when like you make people laugh so hard, they're just like punching each other. And it's like, that's what you have to look forward to if you can just ride out the storm. And
definitely.
When you want something, you have to look at the brick wall and know that it's not there to keep you out. You just got to find a way to get on the other side. That's the whole,
I think also too, like we're all adjusting to stuff and then like, it's like a new world, but it's better. It'll be so much nicer.
Yeah, if you can get past your own like personal bitterness because you feel like you've lost something, it is better. You'll see that it's better. It's a better world when you have like diversity around you, when you have women who are able to like reach their full potential around you.
Oh, I want a weekly Cortez dance video in the Senate, you know, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I love all that. My mom,
I was at BU at that time and no one asked me to be in that video.
What the heck?
So fucked up.
So was she in school when she did that video?
Yeah.
She looked the same. I mean, I know she's still young.
And she's wearing a pencil skirt. I'm like, she could not be more refined in this dancing
of all
video.
the college videos.
Like little kitten heels. Yeah.
No, but you're right. And it's, when you look at all this old timers, it's just like, and it's like my parents too. Like they're just old. And like I don't know if they're still Trump supporters, but you know, like everyone's slowly falling off the bandwagon.
Got to check in every so often. You guys still on that side?
They're more like,
we're not talking anymore.
They're business owners, and as long as they're making money, I want them to support whatever they support because they're nice people. Like you know what I mean? Like they're not homophobic. There's none of that aspect of it. But you look at the guards changing. Of course, it's changing. I want all women to, you know, I think the idea when we talk about what men and women want, it's way more closer when we actually strip it down.
Exactly. Like we're very, very related.
I mean, if anything, I get shit from listeners sometimes because I'm too interested in talking. Like 3/4 of our guests are women. I'll never be accused of not getting women on the podcast. It's just interesting to me to like talk to someone like you who we've all got our different viewpoints, but like when it's just Tasha and I, we end up just fighting because I'm like, you guys don't understand, because she's fighting the fight, but she's also like, I mean, I think you do understand your privilege. You know, you like there's no
sure, but
you were born beautiful. You've been working as a model since you were in diapers for diaper companies, and like that's literally your privilege. And I just don't want you. I don't want, first of all, the industry to.
But you've got to understand that that's just one aspect of my life, and there are plenty of other things that are hard about being a woman and hard about being an attractive woman.
Listen. I'll tell you this. I agree. We couldn't even walk down the street without 7 guys catcalling you and whistling and yelling at you. I was with you. I couldn't imagine that scenario
by myself alone every day on a dark alley.
So I'm with you on all that. I understand that with those benefits, it comes the dude on Instagram who says, "Fuck you, your political point's you're not hot enough for your," like they say shit like this, and I read it and I go, I'm melting because I can't murder this random guy that I want to. Like that I do
also,
understand. Also,
nobody would ever write a comment to you, "Oh, fuck your political points, you're not hot enough." That's not even a thing.
Yeah.
Like my dad's nickname for me, and no disrespect to my dad, but it was Pretty Remy, and I thought that was my moniker. I was like pretty little girl, but then when I thought that I could add something else to it, like I literally had guys say to me when I started stand-up, "What, so you just decided that you're funny today?" What?
Yeah. It's like pretty is the most you can aspire to as a woman. Like you can't aspire to be smart because that's frowned upon. That steps on people's toes. You can't aspire to be funny, but you can aspire to be pretty because then you can be someone's wife.
Do you think I stop you from wanting to be funny? Or I mean, we're pretty goofy. Like, do you think I stop you from like wanting you to like explore past what is the safe place where people see you? Like,
no, I think
like I love it. I love it when you fucking put me in my place.
I've made my choice. I like my career, but I do think that like I could have been a doctor.
I know.
But did I want to fight that fight the whole time?
Yeah.
No, I didn't want another 12 years of school. No, I didn't want.
You get into what you're supposed to do, and like you literally, people were like, you should do this, and it's afforded you the chance to travel, meet good people. I hate it when people. I mean, I hate it when you introduce yourself and say, "What are you doing?" You say you're a model. I hate it because I know what they're thinking.
Yeah,
not
that I'm like dumb. You know, like they just kind of think that like there was nothing else you could do.
Like have you ever cried on a shoot?
What?
Have you ever cried on a shoot?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We were just talking about one of those the other day. I like had to wear very short shorts, like with like my butt cheeks kind of hanging out. Now that's the style. Now like everybody wears that in LA, but this was probably like 8 years ago at least. And, you know, I come from a very conservative family and I was so insecure. I don't know that, you know, that's one of many times I've probably like sucked up tears or just like absorbed someone's shitty comment and moved on with my life. But like, you know, what were we even talking about? I lost my train of thought.
Dealing with the fact that you're disappointing, like people are judging you just because like you're a model or whatever.
Yeah, like it's literally like I can't downplay it enough.
Right.
Like I would rather say I work at Starbucks, you know, like because you know that like all of that judgment.
And I don't get it in that
career.
I don't get that sort of judgment, but like comics, no, I never want to say they're comics because you get the same 6 questions. Like our Uber driver was a stand-up comedian.
Tell me a joke.
Our Uber driver was a stand-up comedian, and I didn't even want to tell him I was too. I didn't even want to talk to another comic. I didn't want to do. I just write. I don't know. You know what I mean? But like, you want to be authentic to yourself, but you don't want to deal with the like I work in one of my side gigs, like deal with a lot of tourists, and sometimes I'll be like, I'm a comic. You know, when there's what do you do? I'm a stand-up comedian. Oh, it must be hard. Oh, well, I hope you make it. Oh, and it's like, all right, Nancy from Florida, like chill out. Like it's fine. You have side gigs. You do other shit.
Yeah.
As long as you need to do other shit. I mean, it's just, you know.
That's all they know, though. That's the thing. It's the same thing that like I thought women weren't having orgasms. Like there's a big trope in pop culture that comics are losers, and it's perpetuated by comics a lot. Like we say it, I'm a fucking loser, and like nobody likes me, and I'm like a mess.
Until everyone thinks you're a genius.
Until they think you're a genius. Yeah. So it's just that's just something. That's them. That's not you.
I hear that. And it doesn't truly affect me. It's just kind of one of those like, cool. Yeah, I hope I make it too.
Oh, trust me. When I first started, like I come from like Upper East Side. Like I went to private school in the city. Like when I started comedy, people would be like, "Oh, I see you're really into that comedy world. You're really friends with all those comics. Like how cute, you know, like really being like, wow, aren't you dumpster diving?" And then now, like I've done like some appearances or whatever that like, people we saw you on my Netflix or whatever. That's so cool. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was so interesting that I was with you know, like fuck
and
you.
Like veiled insult.
Go scratch.
You know, like
stupid
it's funny.
idiot.
It's funny because I don't want people I don't know like putting that shit on me, but also I get it's really frustrating me, like Tasha, that your parents don't ask me a million questions about it, and I know they don't know the world.
They don't ask me anything about my job either.
5 years dating, and that I want to know like how do you come up with it? I actually want them to like inside the actor studio with me.
But like, why are you putting that on them? Like,
I want them to believe that I'm doing. I want them to believe that like it's like we were in town. I just did a guest spot at Go Bananas in Cincinnati. Like that was it. And they asked how to go. Good, but like I was like, Tim, you should come, her dad. And he's like, well, I think I'll just stand here. And it's like, I haven't begged them to come.
No, he's watching basketball or
it's like
football.
5 years. You realize, and I think I've said this to them before, because like we're close, and I understand where the expectation is, but I do like to push the boundaries and be like, you do understand, like I'm not quitting this. This is my life. I'm just like a junior associate.
But you also gotta know that like they don't like that stuff. Like they don't even like to watch comedy specials on TV.
That's the thing.
Your dad was dying watching Jim Jeffries. It was amazing how dirty, and then your dad's laughing like he like couldn't stop laughing. It's like they do like it. It just they don't know.
But sometimes my friend Tim, he's my best friend. I'm staying with him. I stay with him all the time. We basically live together in New York. I think he's been to one of my shows, maybe. And he like hung out outside. Like he hates comedy, and I used to get so mad. And I've posted shitty shit online too. Like I've gotten in trouble, but it's mostly I'll target posts being like, it's my 3rd anniversary in stand-up. If you haven't been to a show at this point, you're fucking dead to me.
I've done the same post.
But nobody cares. Nope, not nobody cares. But people just see that and they're like, oh, nobody's going to Remy's shows. Whereas there are a lot of people going to my shows. I'm just being a fucking asshole and focusing on the 3 who haven't shown up.
Not being thankful for the hundreds that have come.
And look, we have to kind of go there to remember, like, no one, you know, you'd be unhealthy to be like, I'm always
That's just part of being a human, I guess. It's like always seeing
I go out from my family, I go, how are you not subscribed to my podcast? Everybody subscribe. Just say, hey Siri, download this hey Siri, subscribe to this Sex Actually podcast. I wish that my voice triggered their phones. Like, I wish I just say that. But
if they're listening, they're already.
And then like my stepsister's like, I don't want to hear about your sex life. And I was like, okay, I get that, but still subscribe. Like,
hey Siri, text all my friends. Listen to How Come.
And everyone who does listen, I do want everyone to go subscribe to your podcast, How Come. And I did want to ask you, have you dated any guys like kind of seriously since you started the podcast, or have you had any pushback?
I've had a boyfriend the whole time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I started, we've been together for a while, and everybody's always like, well, what did Ben think about it? I'm like, Ben wanted me to come.
Yeah.
And everyone also, oh, Ben must be terrible at sex. I'm like, no, I've been alive for a really long time before I even met Ben. So it's kind of like, I always say it's like handing somebody a Rubik's Cube that's like 7 sides and being like, this has never been done before, but enjoy. Yeah. Also, we're naked.
And I'm sure there are some ladies listening that you said there was a specific device that worked for you.
Yeah. Any clitoral suction device. Really.
Oh, we got one of those.
Suction.
Yeah.
Do we
got
have
a box
suction?
of. You don't. You're probably. Do you need anything? We've got a whole bin of.
I'll always take everything.
We have one that's like a
suction.
I
don't remember seeing that, but now I'm curious.
You know, the funny thing is they sent us like $600 for the toys. We gave a bunch out at a show, but Tasha kept every one that was the most expensive. I think you just looked at the price tag and was like, I'll take these.
I know what I like.
She's a label whore.
We've got like all these be all plug in.
I have expensive tastes.
I literally will let mine die sometimes and then just open another box that someone sent me because I'm like, this one's charged.
Wow. But that's interesting. I would have no idea based on what you just think of a typical vibrator. I mean, nowadays it's like the fucking shit. We have one that looks like a cactus and it all bojangles in different directions. Like, what's
but the
on?
suction thing is like is the newest technology. Like the one that I started with was the Womanizer. There's also one by Sweet Vibrations. There's one called the Lilo Sona.
Let me see what we have.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, but it's anything that's using like wind technology and like treating your clitoris like the little penis it is.
A butterfly pump. Does this suck?
No,
that's a
that
pump.
is way different.
I don't know.
I think that looks for a penis or something.
Clit pump and vibrator in one.
Oh.
Clit pump? What the fuck? It looks like you'd pump up a bike tire.
But did you guys know that the embryonic tissue created to make the clitoris is the same embryonic tissue that creates the penis?
Yep, sure did. We're all women to start, and some people's clits just keep growing
bigger. Yeah,
some little dick hanging out. Some chimp dick hanging out. No, I mean, yeah. With trans surgery, they just turn a dick inside out. I mean, it's the start of it, right? They just push it in. I know
it's much more complicated.
No, they just
come on over. Dave will fix you right up.
And they push it. No, but they use some of they reclaim as many
it's arousal tissue, so they're just using what God intended it for.
Yeah. That's what's important to remember with all the divides we have politically, nationalism, and it's like we're all literally just a percentage point different. Like, your chromosome made a left turn when it could have made a right. We're so close, you know what I mean, to being all the same that it's just insane how we pick apart the differences, because I think back in the day for survival you just had to pick your team. So you got the incels that go, well, we got our team, we know who we're with, fuck those people, it's us versus them. I mean, obviously Trump, it's
more uneducated people that want to just pick a team. It's like, you know what? I don't want to expend the energy talking to this person, learning if they're a smart, nice, anything person. I'm just going to label them as.
And also it's those same people that don't want to challenge themselves.
Yeah.
They don't want to open up their mind to the potential of a new viewpoint.
Yeah.
Or
we've all
That's
been
what
there.
I was going to say before, though, is when the way that men have responded to the not new order. It's not a new order. It's like we're slowly making progress. But the way that some men have responded versus other is kind of. Oh, there were some of my friends that were like, this is ridiculous. You can't do fucking anything now. And I'm like, you got something in your fucking past? Yeah, I jacked off on a girl once when she was sleeping. I'm like, that's bad. But if you're willing to learn from this now, that's different. Whereas some guys are checking themselves so hard, being like, oh my God, one time I grabbed someone's hand and she didn't and I call her and I'm like, oh, I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. No, it's fine.
I'm in that camp. I've looked at past situations where I go,
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've all done, but I look at it and it almost sounds like sort of in a guilty way, but yeah, I think it's important to look back and go,
who hasn't? You have to take inventory and kind of own up if you're gonna change.
Sure.
Yeah, we all have made mistakes. That's a human thing.
Yeah,
it literally is gonna happen to every single person on the planet. But the sort of measure of yourself as a person is where do you go from here?
Yeah.
Do you look back and say, oh man, I fucked up. I feel really bad about that. And
I'm
make
gonna
an
try
effort
and
to change going forward.
Or, you know what? I don't want to change, so I'm going to make the system stay the way it is because this is too hard for me.
And that's a fear that kind of like keeps you in that, because people say like, why haven't this core Trump base, why haven't they budged? Well, because they picked their side and they're in the trench.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problem with people that are more enlightened or have smarter or more like diverse points of view is that it comes with a smugness, and we look at the ignorant as like they're choosing.
Yeah.
I think, and I'm guilty of it, but like if you look compassionately towards people that don't know any better, it's like you've got the privilege of like growing up in New York City.
Oh my God.
And Tasha, you grew up in a you were like right on the divide, the Mason-Dixon line almost, where like you come from a Democratic family, but also like, you know,
I live in a very Republican part of the world.
But then you get to San Francisco and New York.
But
and
it's interesting, and we've talked about this before. Like I still have a lot of like Facebook friends from high school, and they'll post the craziest comments, like, you know, supporting Kavanaugh, or like, I don't understand, the world is equal for women. And it's like, well, they don't know because they've never ridden a subway,
right?
You know, like they don't know because they live in a very safe space where they get in their Honda Odyssey and they drive to the grocery store, and that's it. That's their whole life. Like,
but also if you're listening to, like, I have an aunt who is the dumbest person ever, only for the fact that she doesn't think for herself. She listens to whatever her fucking husband says. She's like, no, girls who wear skimpy outfits, they're responsible if they get raped. And I'm like, no, like, use your goddamn brain.
But she was drunk.
Why
Remy.
is it like they? No, like guys, it's totally it's totally like a sexual urge that can't be controlled when it's a dude raping somebody.
That's my other thing is everyone's, guys they're so sexual and they need to be satiated and we have to help them get their boners away. Do you know how often we have boners and you just don't see them? Like, we're enraged too.
Well,
no, but it's a sexual urge when it's guys and it can't be controlled, and it's up to us to like put ourselves in a box to help them out, right? But then when like a woman's walking into an abortion clinic, it's like, oh well, she should have kept her legs together.
Yeah,
it's not a sexual urge that can't be controlled.
Yeah,
then.
but and my point is, you're right. But if you post, and again, you've had so many times, Tasha, when you've tried to post, you like wrote a response to somebody, and then you're like, oh, and you'll just delete it because you're like, what's the point? You know what I mean? It's just that's what Facebook is.
You know that like you're not changing anyone's hearts or minds.
At least not on that medium, and that's what we all need to remember. Is like social media is not connecting us; it's just showing us our differences, and it's we're digging into the sand on it. But it's I don't know. It's a whole fucking thing. But I think it's good to have the talks that we're having, and it's just important to remember when, like, you know, this new Democratic wave or whatever that's in the thing. It's like, don't look down on these other people because you're only.
Well, you kind of have to have compassion for them for like not ever having the opportunity or like, I don't know, the capacity to sort of see outside their own bubble.
My friend too, this is besides my aunt just being told whatever someone else says and like listening to that. My friend is gay and he's from the South and his family is super Republican and they're accepting of him, like, you know, because they love him, but they're still voting for laws that are making his life harder
and more
worse.
Dangerous.
And I literally had to stay on the phone with him before the midterms for like an hour and a half telling him why voting is important. He's like, they said it won't affect my life. And I'm like, but they're lying and their interests don't align with yours. Unfortunately, they don't value as much as they value like, I want to say a tax cut, but unless you're a billionaire, you did not get a tax cut, you fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, we got rid of that smugness. No. I totally agree. And it's like
it was mostly to my dad.
Subscribe there, Mr. Kassimir, please. I totally understand. It's like I've got family that, you know, they just like my sister has 4 beautiful kids that she loves, so she's pro-life. Like she doesn't look past the fact that she couldn't kill her kids. You know what I mean?
What? That is not the same thing.
No, but then you have to look at them. You have to look at them that way. It's like she's a good person. She's the same DNA as me. She just only knows that she wouldn't kill her kids. That's all she knows. She hasn't done the work to like look at the people that were raped or just want to have choice.
She's not read Freakonomics. Yeah, literally, abortion makes the economy better.
Yeah, but the point, so the point is that like, look, you just
we do have a population problem.
Yeah. Whenever they say that the swine flu is coming back, I'm like, bring it on, let's go. We got to thin this shit out.
No, but that's not even why. In Freakonomics, they say abortion makes the economy better just because
women stay in the workforce.
The people who intend to have kids want the kids. They raise them better. You're not raising delinquent children who are going out and don't feel loved and need to resort to crime or something.
Yeah, you raise better kids when you want
them,
are prepared
when you're not like, fuck, I'm 16.
I'm stuck with it.
Look, as a guy who's spiritual, like I can't tell you at what point the spirit's in the soul. I'm not gonna pretend like only when it walks out of the vagina, is that how it works? Only when that happens is the spirit. Like I'm not saying you're not killing something. I'm just saying, look, like we're a world of 8 billion people, and like, look, if you don't want to have a kid, get that technology and know right away before like you put it off any longer.
Also, believe in reincarnation. Like, you're not killing the soul. You're giving the soul a little time out. You're like, you're going back to soul land for a second.
Yeah,
come back for this next round.
Yeah, you're literally in the iCloud. I believe that. I do believe that we're just in a like meat suits, and this is part of the journey, and that's why I struggle when I see someone, even like my sister. I go, I don't know if you're evolving in this sort of like way where like you're just. I mean, the way when you relate it to family members, you just got to look like your aunt is doing what she needs to do to survive.
Totally.
And I know, and it might come from not being on a subway with someone else. Like when you look at someone like, I remember George Clooney responded to this Hollywood elitist thing. He's like, I'm from Kentucky. I come from a family. Like we just want this. And it's like, it's easy to be like those fucking Hollywood elites. And it's like, no, I'm from Newport, Rhode Island. I'm just like, I'm trying to succeed. And it's not some elitist community. It's just sort of an awakening that you get in these major cities where people, have to, be friends with some, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just.
Oh my, I was fighting with a racist uncle, and he was saying about the caravan, we're so, and I was like, oh God, I go, here, okay, I understand that people who live in the middle of the country are afraid of the caravan because they don't know other people who are like that. I'm like, but surely you who have grown up with people who's different around him, like, you know that nothing's wrong, right? And then he just didn't respond because he doesn't think nothing's wrong. He's like, they look different. It's bad.
Just pictures like Zombieland or like, Walking Dead where they're just piling bodies up over a wall one at a time. Yeah. And look, okay, we solved it all here officially. So all the issues are solved. We do have to get out of here. You didn't mention what your Netflix. Where can people check you out?
Okay. So there's a show on Netflix called Explained. And every episode is like 20-minute episode that explains something in our world that everyone's familiar with but doesn't really like know. So like the stock market was one episode.
Oh, did this just come out? I saw it on Netflix. I didn't know you were on it.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Sweet.
One is like music, and then my episode is the female orgasm. So they basically came to my house, they profiled me, and a lot of people found out that I squirt on the internet.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a good way for people to find that out.
Great time. But yeah.
So that's on Netflix. People can go check that out. And then your social media.
My social media, you can find me, Remy Kassimir, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Remy Kassimir. My podcast.
And how is that spelled?
Kassimir.
Okay.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, put it in the little descript. How Come podcast is wherever iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, all those things.
Come, C-O-M-E.
No, C-U-M.
Oh, shit. My bad.
Yeah, how C-U-M. And then I have another podcast called We Really Love Island, where I talk about this amazing British reality show. If you want to binge something with a friend, come binge with me. It is great.
Is that only
Island?
Is that available?
Love
here?
Island
Love
is
Island.
the show,
Oh,
but
yeah.
the podcast is We Really Love Island.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Okay, great. Go and for everyone listening, go support. And look, and I always tell this to whenever I do other people's podcasts, I don't feel like I get pushed enough. So I'm telling my audience, you know what I mean? I mean here I am being bitter, but I'm telling you, you're listening to this, you're supporting me. Hit the subscribe button on whatever app you use. If you have an iPhone and you don't use the iPhone podcast app, hit the subscribe button anyway, you assholes. Go subscribe to How Come and go support Remy. Follow her on social media.
Thanks,
If you're in
Dave.
New York, go see where she's performing and all that. And I don't know when I'm gonna be back, but I think April or whatever. But I'll have to hit you up when I'm gonna be back.
Yeah.
Because I only met you in Newport.
I know.
How was that your first time in Newport?
That was my first comedy festival I was ever booked on.
Congrats! It was a pretty white festival. A pretty white.
It was
city.
a very white festival, but it was it was the first time I ever got a hotel room. I felt so cool.
Were you at the Wyndham? Were you at the Goat Island or where?
No, Gurney's.
Where's? Oh, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one on the island. It's a tiny little bridge.
Sick.
That's a nice place. That's where Tasha. That's where your sister's going for that. Right? Isn't she going there for some wedding? Somebody is.
Jessica.
Okay, she's going. Anyway,
have fun, Jessica.
Yeah, enjoy hearing these. But yeah, Doug's great. If he's been on this pod, he was my old roommate in New York.
Unreal.
So so that's our connection through Doug. But I'm sure we have a ton. Like, where you normally perform in New York?
So I actually have a show every Sunday at the Stand. Hopefully they'll be open soon. They've been opening their new club for a few months now.
So are they going into the Brother Jimmy's?
Yeah.
That's going to be fucking
awesome.
on
16th and 3rd. So it's like, it's going to have like more rooms and stuff. But so my show is called Bacon Bits, and it's the Sundays when the Stand is open, we give you free bacon and you get to listen to bits.
Awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
We're doing BLTs today. We're doing BLT Mondays. Very good. Anyway, thanks again for being on. You've woken me up to all the issues with the female orgasm. I'm sure Tasha's going to be very thankful that you were here. I don't know.
Seriously.
And we're gonna look into this suction cup technology. We're gonna go.
It's not a cup.
He's just gonna get out a plunger.
Plunger your pussy.
Oh my god.
That's it. Pussy plunging. Anyway, thanks again, and I appreciate it. Everyone, go follow her and do all that
Thanks,
stuff
guys.
on social media, not in person.
This has been great. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
SAP